Listen to me. Your life will not change until you change. It doesn't matter how much potential you have. It doesn't matter how many dreams you've written down. It doesn't matter how much talent you were born with. None of it matters if you're lazy. None of it matters if you keep waiting for tomorrow, if you keep scrolling, if you keep putting things off, if you keep convincing yourself that you'll start when the time is right. The right time is now. Laziness is a silent thief. It robs you of your future. It robs you of your confidence. It robs you of your destiny. You may not even notice it, because laziness disguises itself as comfort. It feels good to stay where you are. It feels safe to do the bare minimum. It feels easier to keep saying, "I'll do it later." But what you don't realize is that every day you give in to laziness, you're building chains around your own life. You're making it harder and harder to break free. You want success. You want freedom. You want to feel alive. Then you need to stop lying to yourself. You need to stop saying, "I don't have time," when you know you wasted hours doing nothing. You need to stop saying, "I can't," when the truth is you won't. You need to stop waiting for someone to save you, because no one is coming. No one is going to knock on your door and hand you the life you dream about. You have to get up. You have to decide that you're done living small, that you're done being average, that you're done letting laziness control your future. Change doesn't come from motivation. It comes from discipline. Motivation is a spark. Discipline is the fire that keeps burning. You have to train yourself to do what needs to be done even when you don't feel like it. Especially when you don't feel like it. That's how you build power. That's how you build self-respect. That's how you transform. Every time you hit snooze, you're sending yourself a message. I'm not strong enough. Every time you skip the workout, every time you avoid the hard work, every time you choose comfort over growth, you're reinforcing the belief that you can't, and that belief is poison. But the good news is this. The same way you've trained yourself to be lazy, you can train yourself to be unstoppable. You change your life by changing your habits. Wake up earlier, move your body, feed your mind with something powerful instead of distractions. Set goals and attack them relentlessly. Do what others won't so you can live how others can't. Yes, it's hard. Yes, it will be uncomfortable, but isn't staying the same even harder? Isn't looking back at your life with regret even more painful? Isn't knowing you wasted your potential the heaviest burden you could carry? You already know what you need to do. Stop making excuses. Stop looking for shortcuts. Stop waiting for permission. Get up. Get moving. Get disciplined. The version of you that you dream of becoming is not lazy. That version of you is powerful, focused, relentless. And you don't become that person someday. You become them the moment you stop giving in to laziness and decide to change your life today. Laziness is the silent thief that robs you of your future, your confidence, and your destiny. It doesn't break in loudly. It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't come in like a storm. Instead, it creeps in quietly, disguised as comfort, disguised as rest, disguised as procrastination. It feels harmless in the moment. You tell yourself you'll start tomorrow, you'll work harder next week, you'll push yourself when you feel more ready. But the problem is, tomorrow never comes. That little whisper of laziness keeps showing up, and with every decision to give in, you hand over a piece of your future. You give away opportunities, you give away growth, you give away the chance to become who you were meant to be. That's the real danger. It's not that laziness destroys you instantly. It's that it slowly steals everything you could have built without you realizing the cost until it's too late. Every time you choose to stay comfortable when you know you should be moving forward, you lose momentum. Momentum is everything. It's the energy that carries you closer to your goals, the invisible force that makes the next step easier than the last. But laziness kills momentum before it can even start. You say, "I'll do it later," and suddenly later becomes never. You push off the workout, you delay the study session, you put off the business idea. One skipped action becomes two, then three, until your dreams are sitting in the back of your mind gathering dust. And when you look at yourself in the mirror, you feel the weight of wasted time pressing down on you. That's the theft of confidence, because deep down, you know you could be so much more if you stopped giving in to laziness. The dangerous thing about laziness is how it justifies itself. You say you need to rest, but really, you've already rested enough. You say you don't have the energy, but it's the very act of movement that creates energy. You say you don't know where to start, but starting anywhere would already be progress. The excuses sound reasonable in the moment, but when you step back, you realize they're nothing more than lies you've been repeating so often that you've started to believe them. And the longer you buy into those lies, the more they rob you of your destiny. Think about it. Every successful person you admire had the same 24 hours in a day that you do. The difference is they didn't let laziness steal those hours from them. They didn't negotiate with themselves about whether or not to act. They just acted. They built habits. They pushed through the resistance. They worked when others were sleeping, and that's why they got the results. Meanwhile, the lazy person keeps saying, "I wish I had that life." But wishing doesn't get you anywhere. Action does, and laziness is the barrier standing between you and that action. Your future is being written every single day. Every choice you make is a stroke of the pen. Laziness writes in ink too, and what it writes is mediocrity, regret, and disappointment. If you let it, laziness will script a story where you never rise, where you never break through, where you never become the person you were designed to be. It steals not just the opportunities in front of you, but also the version of yourself you could have grown into. The stronger, wiser, more disciplined, more fulfilled version of you never comes to life because laziness kept you stuck in place. And the cruel thing is, laziness feels good in the moment but leaves you with pain later. Hard work feels painful in the moment but gives you pride later. One choice gives you temporary relief but long-term regret. The other gives you temporary struggle but long-term fulfillment. Yet laziness always tries to seduce you into choosing the wrong one. That's why it's a thief that offers something sweet now while taking everything meaningful from your future. Confidence is built by keeping promises to yourself. When you say you'll wake up early and you do, you build confidence. When you say you'll push through and you do, you build confidence. When you say you'll show up even when you don't feel like it and you do, you build confidence. But laziness robs you of that cycle. You say you'll do it, and then you don't. You promise yourself progress, and then you back down. And with every broken promise, you teach yourself not to trust yourself. You destroy your own confidence, and without confidence, how can you ever expect to chase a bigger future? That's why laziness doesn't just rob you of action. It robs you of belief in yourself. If you continue to give in to laziness, it will keep taking from you, piece by piece. It will take your goals, your time, your energy, your belief, and eventually your destiny. And not because you weren't capable, but because you allowed yourself to be robbed without even fighting back. And the truth is, the world won't wait for you. Opportunities won't wait for you. Life won't wait for you. While you sit still, life keeps moving, and those who act seize the chances that could have been yours. That's what laziness does. It leaves you behind while convincing you it's fine to stay still. Comfort feels good in the moment, but it builds chains that keep you trapped in mediocrity. The human mind is wired to seek safety, to look for the path of least resistance, to cling to what is familiar. That is why comfort feels so addictive. It reassures you. It soothes you. It makes you feel like everything is fine. But the truth is, while comfort feels like a warm blanket, it is secretly a cage. Every time you choose comfort over growth, you are locking yourself deeper into that cage, making the bars stronger, making escape harder. Comfort doesn't just keep you still, it actively holds you back from rising to the level you are capable of reaching. When you live in comfort, you stop stretching yourself. Growth only happens when you step outside what you know, when you put yourself in situations that challenge you, when you expose yourself to struggle and discomfort. But if you avoid that because it feels too hard, too risky, or too uncertain, you end up stuck at the same level year after year. The job that doesn't inspire you, the routine that drains you, the habits that don't push you forward, they all feel comfortable, and because of that, you stay. You convince yourself it's fine, that it's enough, that things aren't that bad. But deep down, there's a voice inside of you that knows this isn't the life you were meant for, that knows you're capable of more, that knows mediocrity has become your prison. Comfort is dangerous because it doesn't hurt right away. Failure stings, rejection stings, struggle stings, but comfort feels harmless. You don't feel the pain of it immediately. You feel a false sense of relief, like you're avoiding danger, like you're doing the smart thing by staying safe. But over time, the pain builds in silence. You wake up one day and realize years have passed and nothing has changed. The opportunities that could have been yours are gone. The dreams you once had have faded. The version of you that was supposed to be strong, courageous, and fulfilled has been buried under the weight of your own comfort. That's when the real pain shows up, the pain of regret, the pain of wasted potential, the pain of knowing you traded what could have been for what was easy. Comfort keeps you trapped because it convinces you that struggle is the enemy. But struggle is not the enemy, struggle is the teacher. Struggle is the forge where character is built, where confidence is earned, where strength is created. Without struggle, you cannot grow, and without growth, you cannot achieve. Comfort shields you from that process, and by shielding you, it weakens you. It turns your muscles soft, both physically and mentally. It robs you of resilience. It robs you of the ability to face challenges head on. The more you stay in comfort, the less capable you become of breaking free from it, because your tolerance for discomfort shrinks until even the smallest challenge feels overwhelming. Think about how many people stay in jobs they hate because they're comfortable. They know they're unfulfilled. They know they have talents and passions that are being wasted. But the paycheck comes in. The routine feels familiar, and leaving feels scary. Comfort keeps them trapped, convincing them to settle for less than they deserve. Think about the person who dreams of being fit, but chooses the couch every night. The couch feels good. The workout feels hard, so they choose comfort. But in choosing comfort, they chain themselves to a body and mind they're unhappy with. Think about the person who has a business idea, who has the vision to create something great, but they never start because the thought of failure makes them uncomfortable. Comfort talks them into waiting and waiting and waiting until the dream dies altogether. The truth is, every great achievement demands discomfort. Every breakthrough requires you to walk into the unknown, to risk failing, to risk looking foolish, to risk struggling. Comfort tries to keep you from those risks, but in doing so, it strips you of the rewards that only come on the other side of discomfort. The people who win in life are not the ones who avoid discomfort. They are the ones who embrace it, who train themselves to lean into it, who understand that the pain of growth is far lighter than the pain of regret. The chains of comfort are not visible, but they are real. You can feel them every time you settle for less, every time you avoid the hard choice, every time you talk yourself out of taking action. Those chains get heavier the longer you wear them, until eventually you stop even trying to break free. That's why comfort is so dangerous. It doesn't just trap your actions, it traps your mind. It convinces you that this is all you're capable of, that this is all there is, that your dreams are too far out of reach. But the reality is, the only thing keeping you from them is the illusion of comfort, the false belief that safety is better than possibility. No one is coming to save you. You must take full responsibility and create your own change. Too many people live their lives waiting for someone else to come along and fix everything, waiting for a mentor, a partner, a leader, or some miracle to push them into greatness. They wait for the right opportunity to knock. They wait for circumstances to shift. They wait for external validation, believing that success is something handed to them instead of something they build with their own two hands. But the hard truth is this: no one is coming. There is no cavalry, there is no rescue team, there is no shortcut. The only person who can turn your life around is you, and the moment you accept that, you unlock the power to change everything. Taking full responsibility means no more excuses. Excuses are comfortable because they shift the weight of failure away from you and onto someone or something else. You blame the economy, you blame your upbringing, you blame your lack of resources, you blame the people around you. But as long as you blame, you hand away your power. Responsibility is what takes that power back. When you say, "This is on me, my choices created this, my effort determines this, my mindset shapes this," you step into control. And only from control can you create change. When you refuse to take responsibility, you stay stuck. You remain in the same place because you're waiting for something that will never come. You convince yourself that things will be different when someone recognizes you, when someone invests in you, when someone motivates you, when someone believes in you. But here's the reality: no one is obligated to do that for you. The world doesn't reward potential, it rewards execution. If you want someone to invest in you, prove you're worth investing in. If you want someone to believe in you, show them results that can't be ignored. But you'll never get to that point if you're sitting back waiting for others to light a fire under you. The fire has to come from you. Taking responsibility also means owning the parts of your life you don't like. If you're out of shape, it's on you. If your finances are a mess, it's on you. If your relationships are toxic, it's on you. That doesn't mean circumstances haven't been hard. It doesn't mean you haven't faced obstacles. It doesn't mean life has been fair. But responsibility isn't about fairness, it's about power. As long as you blame circumstances, you're powerless to change them. The moment you say, "It's on me," you give yourself permission to act differently, to make better choices, to rewrite the story. Responsibility doesn't weigh you down. It sets you free because it removes the illusion that you're helpless. Think about the people who have risen from nothing to build extraordinary lives. They didn't sit around waiting for someone to hand them success. They didn't wait for permission. They decided that no matter what resources they had, no matter what obstacles stood in their way, they were going to own their destiny. They worked, they failed, they adjusted, they pushed forward, and they kept moving. They didn't waste time complaining about what they didn't have. They maximized what they did have. That's the mindset of responsibility. I will take whatever is in my hands right now and use it to build the future I want. The opposite mindset is victimhood. Victimhood says, "Life is unfair, the world is against me, I can't win because the odds are stacked too high." Victimhood feels comforting because it absolves you of effort. It gives you a reason not to try. But victimhood is a trap. It keeps you stuck in the same patterns, repeating the same failures, watching opportunities pass you by while convincing yourself it isn't your fault. Responsibility breaks that cycle. It says, "I may not control everything, but I control my choices, I control my effort, I control my response, and that's enough to change my direction." There is a moment in every person's life when they realize that waiting doesn't work. Waiting for motivation, waiting for luck, waiting for someone to see their potential. All of it leads nowhere. The only thing that works is deciding to move forward now with what you have where you are. You don't need someone else's permission. You don't need perfect conditions. You don't need to feel ready. You just need to take responsibility and act. One step forward creates momentum, and momentum changes everything. When you embrace full responsibility, you also embrace growth. Every failure becomes a lesson instead of a dead end. Every mistake becomes feedback instead of shame. Every setback becomes a stepping stone instead of a wall. That shift in perspective transforms how you live. because you stop running from challenges and start using them. Responsibility doesn't just change your results, it changes your identity. You go from being someone who waits to being someone who creates, from being someone who complains to being someone who builds, from being someone who blames to being someone who leads. And that shift is what separates those who remain trapped in mediocrity from those who rise into greatness. Motivation fades, but discipline is the fire that transforms your life. Motivation is powerful. Yes, it can spark action. It can ignite energy. It can get you moving. But the truth is, motivation is fleeting. It comes and goes like the wind. One day you wake up feeling unstoppable. The next day you wake up and you don't want to do anything. If you build your life on motivation, you build it on shaky ground, because motivation cannot be trusted to stay. Discipline, however, is different. Discipline doesn't care how you feel. Discipline doesn't ask if you're inspired. Discipline is the ability to do what needs to be done whether you feel like it or not. It is the steady fire that burns long after motivation has died out. The reason so many people fail to create lasting change is because they wait for motivation. They tell themselves, "I'll go to the gym when I feel motivated," or "I'll work on my goals when inspiration hits." But what they don't realize is that motivation rarely comes before action. It comes after. Waiting for motivation is a trap that keeps you stuck, because you're putting your future in the hands of a fleeting emotion. Discipline is the opposite. Discipline says, "I don't care if I feel like it. I don't care if I'm tired. I don't care if I'm not inspired. I will do it anyway." And when you act with discipline, something powerful happens. You start to build momentum, and momentum creates its own motivation. Discipline is about training yourself to keep promises to yourself. Every time you follow through, even when it's uncomfortable, you prove to yourself that you can be trusted. You build self-respect. And that self-respect becomes confidence. But when you depend on motivation, you break promises constantly. You say you'll start tomorrow, and tomorrow never comes. You say you'll give 100%, but you only show up when it's convenient. That constant cycle of stopping and starting destroys confidence. Discipline, on the other hand, rebuilds it. It makes you stronger, more consistent, more resilient. Think about the people who achieve extraordinary results in life. They're not superhuman. They don't always feel motivated. They don't always feel inspired. But they are disciplined. They wake up when they said they would. They show up even when they're tired. They push through even when no one is watching. That is the difference. Discipline creates habits, and habits create outcomes. What you repeatedly do shapes who you become, and discipline ensures that your repeated actions are aligned with the life you want, not just the mood you're in. Discipline is also the cure for procrastination. Procrastination thrives when you wait for motivation. You push things off, convincing yourself you'll do them later when you feel more ready. But discipline cuts through that. Discipline says, "Start now, even if it's messy, even if it's small." That's how progress is made, not by waiting, but by doing. Every disciplined action compounds, stacking up day after day, until suddenly you look back and realize how far you've come. The beauty of discipline is that it's not about perfection. You don't need to get everything right. You just need to keep showing up. Even when you fail, discipline gets you back on track. Even when you stumble, discipline forces you to stand back up. Motivation might disappear the moment things get tough, but discipline carries you through the storms. It doesn't rely on emotion, it relies on commitment. That's why it is so much more powerful. Another truth about discipline is that it gives you freedom. Most people think discipline feels restrictive, like it's about limiting yourself, but the opposite is true. Discipline gives you freedom because it creates structure. When you're disciplined with your habits, you free yourself from the chaos of procrastination, the stress of falling behind, the regret of wasted time. Discipline creates clarity. It allows you to look in the mirror and know that you are in control, that you are building the life you want on purpose instead of drifting by accident. Discipline also separates the average from the exceptional. Everyone has moments of motivation. Everyone can get excited for a day, a week, maybe even a month. But only those who build discipline sustain results over years, over decades. That's why you see so many people start strong and fade away, while a few keep climbing and reaching new heights. The difference isn't talent, the difference isn't luck, the difference is discipline. At the core, discipline is about choice. Every day you have two choices: give in to how you feel or commit to what you decided. One leads to inconsistency, the other builds greatness. When you learn to choose discipline over comfort, your entire life shifts. The workouts get done, the projects move forward, the habits stick, the goals become reality. Discipline doesn't just move you forward. It transforms you into someone stronger, someone tougher, someone unstoppable. Every choice you make either strengthens your weakness or builds your power. Choose growth over excuses. Life is shaped in the small, seemingly insignificant decisions you make every single day. You may think one skipped workout doesn't matter, one wasted hour doesn't matter, one excuse doesn't matter, but that's where you're wrong. Every choice compounds, every action reinforces an identity. Every moment you choose the easy way out, you strengthen the habits that hold you back. And every time you push yourself to do what's hard, what's uncomfortable, what demands more from you, you build power. You are constantly training yourself in one direction or the other, toward weakness or toward strength. There is no neutral. When you choose weakness, you feel it immediately in your energy and your spirit. You tell yourself you'll start later, and that momentary relief convinces you it's okay. But later never comes, and the guilt creeps in. You know you could have done more, but you didn't. That choice becomes a pattern, and patterns become identity. You start seeing yourself as someone who always quits, who never follows through, who can't be trusted to rise to the occasion. That's how excuses turn into chains. They don't just stop your actions, they slowly destroy the way you see yourself. And when your self-image crumbles, your confidence goes with it. On the other hand, every time you choose growth, you plant seeds of strength. When you push yourself to finish what you started, you tell your mind and body that you are someone who follows through. When you resist the urge to procrastinate, you prove to yourself that discipline is stronger than temptation. When you push past the excuses and take action anyway, you build trust in yourself, and that trust becomes fuel. It builds momentum. It makes the next choice easier because you've already proven you can win the battle against excuses. That is how power is built, choice by choice, action by action, rep by rep. Excuses are seductive because they sound reasonable. I'm too tired. I don't have enough time. I'll do it tomorrow. They give you a way out that feels justified, but the truth is, excuses don't care about your potential. Excuses don't care about your future. Excuses don't care about your destiny. They only care about keeping you comfortable, and comfort is weakness. Growth demands the opposite. It demands that you lean into the discomfort, that you do the thing you least want to do, that you break the cycle by proving to yourself that you are stronger than your excuses. Think about the areas of your life where you've fallen short. Were they shaped by a lack of talent, or were they shaped by choices that strengthened weakness instead of power? Most people don't fail because they lack ability. They fail because they give into excuses too often, because they let small decisions pile up into big regrets. Every skipped step may seem harmless, but over time, those skipped steps add up to miles of lost progress. And then one day, you look back and wonder how you ended up so far from where you wanted to be. It wasn't one big mistake. It was thousands of small choices where you strengthened weakness instead of building power. Every time you face a choice, you're at a crossroads. One path makes you stronger. One path makes you weaker. One path brings you closer to your goals. The other takes you further away. And the most dangerous thing is, Most of these decisions don't feel life-changing in the moment. They feel small, but the small things are what shape the big picture. Choosing to read instead of scroll builds your mind. Choosing to move instead of sit builds your body. Choosing to work on your goals instead of making excuses builds your future. Those choices stack up, and eventually they define who you are and what you have. The power of choice is that it compounds. Weak choices create momentum toward mediocrity. Strong choices create momentum toward greatness. The question is, which momentum are you building? You can't avoid the compounding effect. You are either compounding strength or compounding weakness. Every day, every decision, you are either adding weight to your excuses or adding fuel to your growth. And the more consistent you are in one direction, the harder it is to turn around. That's why you can't afford to underestimate the choices you make today. If you want power, you must train yourself to recognize excuses for what they are: lies. They sound convincing, they sound protective, they sound harmless, but they are lies designed to hold you back. Growth, on the other hand, is the truth. Growth tells you the hard thing is the right thing. Growth tells you the path of resistance is the path of strength. Growth tells you that the struggle you want to avoid is the very struggle that will transform you. And when you start living by that truth, your life changes. You stop letting weakness win, and you start building a foundation of power that cannot be shaken.